all the time or only when speaking?
It is preferred. It is preferred. But yeah, I think you just wait until it's if you don't want to, just wait until it's your turn to speak. No, you can keep it on unless you're more comfortable with keeping your camera off.
Okay, so distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dedicated participants and respected judges, a very warm welcome to the virtual Ideathon, Volunteering for Sustainability, a hackathon supporting local and international efforts to protect our natural world. Over the course of the next couple of hours, each participating team will present the ideas they have so diligently worked on, and that the sub-team, Volunteering for Disaster Relief, for the challenge, how can volunteers create cultures of belonging and integration for those displaced by disaster? So we will now take this opportunity to thank the judging committee members who will use their expertise to assess the team's efforts and processes fairly based on international judging criteria. Allow me to introduce the judges for this sub-team. They are Jacqueline Innocent from Habitat for Humanity, Jean Tan from the Singapore International Foundation, and Dr. Amjad Salim from the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. I would now like to share with you the participating teams who have worked tirelessly over the last 24 hours on solutions to the challenge. And they are Al-Hajj Shamsul Haq Foundation from Bangladesh, Asociación Atados from Brazil, Bumi from India, and Padia Rescue Incorporated from the Philippines, and Volunteering Involving Organization Network from Sierra Leone. We will now begin the pitch round, and please listen carefully to the next few words, because that's really important. Each team will now have 5 minutes to pitch their idea, followed by a 10-minute question and answer session with the judging panel. I'll repeat that again. So every team will have 5 minutes to pitch their idea, and we'll follow this with a 10-minute question and answer session with the judging panel. So we will now start with the Al-Hajj Shamsul Haq Foundation team. Please go ahead and share your slides. You've got 5 minutes.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, honorable judges, the organizers, and the Ideathon team for selecting us and giving us the opportunity to present our project in this virtual Ideathon 2024 event. When someone asks about the displaced people by disaster, the first picture comes to my mind is the Rohingya mother who were able to see after the successful eye surgery arranged by our organization. In August 2017, over 700,000 Rohingya refugees fled from Myanmar to our country, Bangladesh, seeking safety and life-saving assistance. They were not only displaced, but also the victims of all possible violence. We saw the trauma, particularly in the eyes of the children. In order to remove their psychological distress along with providing the basic needs, we, Al-Hajj Shamsul Haq Foundation, established 2 fun parks that can facilitate 400 displaced children. Now, let me give you a brief introduction of our organization. Today, I'm representing Al-Hajj Shamsul Haq Foundation, which is a registered NGO in Bangladesh that provides all kinds of humanitarian supports for disaster management and also the innovative solutions in responding the climate impact. For its excellent support to the society, it received the consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, in 2021. These are the 3 team members and our expert coach who are participating in Ideathon 2024. While dealing with the displaced, we recognized a pressing need to support the displaced children. They face unimaginable challenges that can have a lasting impact on their well-being and development. So what's our solution? We propose a project named Rauda, a community integration initiative that aims to foster their emotional well-being, bridge educational gaps, and promote community integration. So what is Rauda? We have chosen this Arabic word that means garden because we believe the most beautiful garden in the world is found when the children are taken care of by the mothers. So why is this name? Because only the mothers can play the best role in fostering the children's sense of belonging and integration. And that's why we involve only the mothers to run this initiative. This project creates effective social impacts like employment opportunities, women empowerment, and economic growth. The success of the project will be measured through a combination of these quantitative and qualitative indicators. We are making partnerships with local NGOs, local government agencies, educational institutions, and local businesses. The breakdown of the estimated budget provides a clearer view of the allocation of funds for each specific aspect. We are seeking 75% of the budget support through grants, donations, and partnerships with local organizations, while the rest 25% will be covered from Al-Hajj Shamsul Haq Foundation's own fund. Our outreach plan involves identifying target audiences, utilizing communication channels, crafting effective messaging, hosting events, and maintaining a strong online presence. We want everyone to be part of this journey. In our Rowley project, we embrace cutting-edge technology with a view to enhancing the impact and efficiency of our initiative. At present, our initial target is to implement the Project Rowley for the displaced Palestinian children in Egypt, where we have been working for disaster management with collaboration of our partner organizations. We believe that from crisis to comfort, together we can build safe spaces for displaced children. Thank you all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Alhaj Shamsul Haq Foundation. You finished quite ahead of time, so that was really insightful. And then we'll move on to the judges to start asking their questions. So over to you, judges. You've got 15 minutes. Would our judges have any questions for them?
Maybe I can go first. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that presentation. And I like that your initiative addresses, I think, one of the more pressing situations we have right now, whether it's in Gaza or in Ukraine. I just wanted to ask, given the experience you already have on the ground, what was some of the local partners that you intended to reach out to in order to set up this initiative? And also in your presentation, you mentioned the longer term sustainability of the orphanage that you would set up, and having some fundraising or sustainable social activities that would bring in different kinds of revenue. In your experience, what might some of these be?
Well, to answer this question, I'd like to request one of our team member to answer this question. Dr. S.M.A. Mutakabir. Is it okay? Okay. So we can't hear you. Just unmute it.
Okay, thank you, Jiltang. Actually, for fundraising, we sometimes have some local collaborator, and they're actually basically donor, and we try to find out the donor who willingly support our organization to this type of humanitarian activities. And we also have some own project that is actually monetary generator. We generate some money, and this money we actually spend for our this type of voluntary activities. And when we launch our any project outside our own country, we also find out the local donor and also the local NGO or maybe the government organization who actually they are actually involved with us to participate this type of activities.
I'd like to add something. You know, there are some particular rules according to the country. So in that case, we first of all ensure that we are abiding by the rules according to the government on the country we're working on. And then we go ahead with the local NGOs and other partners.
I have a couple of questions, if I may, Eva. So thank you very much, first of all, for the presentation, and congratulations for coming this far, and really appreciate all the hard work. So I just wanted to maybe unpack a little bit when you talked about the women kind of coming in to run the programs. Are these the women who are from the displaced community, and so there you are getting them to volunteer back again with their communities to kind of, you know, to meet the challenges that was said as how can volunteers create cultures of belonging and integration for those displaced? So are you looking at those who have been displaced becoming volunteers in that sense, or are you looking at local women from the community? So I think that was the first question I had. And then the second question was really around safeguarding and protection. I'd love to kind of unpack a little bit more. What does that look like, particularly because when you're dealing with vulnerable women and children, there is an element of safeguarding and protection. And I'd like to understand a little bit about how you're planning to mitigate that in terms of your work. Thank you.
Okay, I'm answering the first question. You know, when the displaced people come from another country, they have a mental trauma. They are not mentally stable sometimes. So we don't initially tell them to run this initiative, but first of all, we make sure that they are mentally stable and provide all kinds of mental supports with our volunteers. And then if they are in a position to teach the children or to support this initiative, then we move on with them. And for safeguarding, I'd like to request my team member, SMA Mutakabir sir, to answer this question.
Okay, thank you. Actually, for safeguard, it is actually a challenging task for every place, especially for the you question raised the woman presence, isn't it? So actually, we try to volunteer some paid basis volunteer. They are actually continuously monitoring and try to protect our environment, and also we take help from the local government, because without local government and maybe the actually community police or maybe community servicemen actually help to us for this type of protection. Is it clear? That means we have some plan that we employ some people who actually paid. So they actually 24 hours shifting basis, they actually monitoring and given this protection for our not only women, also our asset and also the kids in our under project. And also the volunteer basis, the local people as well as the government support if we need, actually. Always maybe no need. It depends upon the situation.
Thank you. I was actually planning to ask that question. I really appreciated your question about safeguarding in particular, especially given the design of this project. And to that end, just sort of tagging onto it, would really like to understand a little bit more about when you think about the design of this, where is the voice of the displaced community, both on the front end around the design of the day-to-day, around the way the volunteers, mothers actually engage with the children, but also on the other end in the continuous evaluation of whether it's working. Could you speak a little bit more to the voice of the displaced communities in that design and assessment phase, please?
SMA Mutakabir sir, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Jacqueline. Actually, for the women, already my one fellow mentioned, when the displaced women come with maybe their own children or maybe without children, they have already mental stress. So at first we make some training or some initiative to make them stable fast. Maybe it can be the psychological, or maybe it actually the level of the stress. We realize we have some doctors in our project, so they actually monitor when they found that the women are, or maybe the displaced women are now stable in condition. That time we actually involve them to our activities, but they are not only alone. So the local women also the presence, so that it is actually easy for them to adjust the environment very quickly, and we can find out the feedback from the real situation. That means we have some score, and we get the feedback from the mothers, or maybe mother, like not only maybe one woman has his own child, but he also take care of the other child as well. So we can find out the direct and real feedback from that our volunteer. That means that they are become a volunteer of our organization as well.
Thank you.
I have another question, Yvette. Is there time?
Yes, you can
Yeah,
ask.
just a minute more. Yeah, we have a question.
Okay.
You
Quick
can
one.
ask.
I was looking at your budget. Maybe you can help me understand it better. You said you need 33,000 or more than that for 50 victims for 4 months. What happens after that?
Okay, actually, since the budget is you provided some, if we get the money, then we will run this project with the 50. But if we don't get money, still we will run this project, but the number will be reduced. Okay, so within the 4 months, we will try to find out some resource so that we can continue this project, not only ourselves. So when we successful this project, then we will hand over this project to the local, our stakeholder, or maybe the other organization to whom we have some MOU. Already we try to find out some local NGO, and we will monitoring it from our own country. So at least 4 months we will be monitoring directly with our representative present in the field. So it will be not stop. It will be continuing running until the problem is solved, because our target is some issue that is actually very complicated. Worldwide, we know that it is not so easy to solve immediately. So we have a long-term plan, but due to the monetary or fund constraints, we plan only 4 months at the beginning.
Thank you.
Egyptian Youth Council already our partner, local NGO. Egyptian Youth Council.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for that. Now it is Asociación Atados Teams 10. Please share your slides. You've got 5 minutes.
Can you see my screen? All right. So human beings are social creatures, and since the beginning, we have lived in social groups, collaborating and interaction to survive and thrive. Nowadays, it's not so different. When people are displaced due to a disaster with no homes, no jobs or structure, they find themselves completely lost. So how can we give them back the sense of belonging? Is it actually possible to give them this back? Hello, everyone. I'm Lúcia Frota, and I'm here today with Murilo Tafarel and Augusto Conte, representing Atados from Brazil. And I'm actually here to tell you that, yes, it is possible to give them this back. The Disaster Response Alliance will promote the sense of community, and the key to do that is network. This network will count on different organizations that already work with disaster relief to optimize time and resources. Volunteer is a major component of this operation, especially for fostering a sense of belonging in the long term by engaging local volunteers and providing them with the tools and resources they need to thrive. And how to actually do that? How can we build this network? We separate it in 4 different phases. The first one is actually building the network. The second, technical capability and training. Local expertise, this is the major and most important one, to work side by side with local leaders and NGOs. And finally, a call to action for volunteers and for the society to engage with us. To do so, we are covering 8 key operational areas that we believe are crucial to guarantee support for displaced community in the short and long term. In each one of these areas, we rely on 1 to 2 organizations with experience in the field to develop the process and methodology that will be implemented. By doing so, we prevent the waste of time and resources, as we have been seeing here in Brazil time and time again, because these organizations work individually. I talked about the call to action, the 4th phase, and this is where it's going to happen. We're going to develop a platform that centralizes all the communication and information regarding the needs of that community. Created by us at Atados, this platform helps us communicate, reach out, and provide assistance effectively. We use it to understand local needs, gather resources, and encourage people to volunteer with us. A little bit about the impact. How can we make sure, be sure that what we are doing are actually causing some positive impacts? So at the ground zero moment, we begin a questionnaire with the local leaders and the local NGOs to map out the impacts and areas for intervention. In the future, we compare responses and assess changes. This process is crucial for understanding the initial impact and guiding our actions effectively. A little bit about the budget. We are considering a 1-year budget here, as we expected that this period we will be capable to work in at least 2 disaster situations, and we would serve as the pilot for this proposal. This activation will provide us the resources to continue to work in the long term. And finally, a little bit about our stakeholders. How can we get a hold of them? As you can see, we have 4 major stakeholders. And here in Atados, we already have a big network of volunteers, society, and companies and NGOs working with us. So we need to engage some partners, big partners like Red Cross and some major NGOs to build a strategic network. We can leverage contacts from previous disaster responses to expand partnerships with companies, including Atados affiliates for sustained relief efforts. We can use Atados' existing platforms, social media, and networks to involve volunteers and individual donors. And finally, most important, we mobilize local communities through Atados' experience with communication tools to work closely and to collaborate with the community leaders to address the real needs. So to summarize, our proposal goes beyond traditional disaster response efforts to focus on sustainable community development. By leveraging partnership, technology, and the power of volunteerism, we believe we can create lasting positive change in the lives of those affected by disasters. So together, let's build stronger and more resilient communities. Thank you.
Thank you, team, for another insightful pitch. Judges, please ask your questions. You've got 10 minutes.
I can start off, if that would be okay. Thank you for that pitch. Really appreciate it. I'd say that the theme when reading your proposal and listening to your pitch of preventing the waste of time and resources is very, very strong. And the through line of how you would achieve that is very, very strong. I want to invite you to strengthen or underscore one piece of your pitch, which is connecting that approach to reducing the waste of time and resources even more strongly to how that would end up actually creating a culture of belonging and integration with the displaced communities. I just want to invite you to strengthen that connection between your approach and that ultimate goal.
All right. So thinking about how to reduce the waste of time and resources, the experience that we have here working on site in disaster is that when we get to the place of the disaster to actually do our major job here in Atados is to manage volunteers on site. And when we get there, we met a lot of different organizations doing their job and willing to work to help the community, but they do not communicate with one another. So all of them was really eager to help and doing the best they can. But since they do not coordinate their actions, time was wasted. And mostly like the communication that went out through the entire country was not reliable communication. For instance, the last disaster we worked on was a landslide here in São Paulo, in the coast of São Paulo. And then after a week, we have like 4 major storage filled with clothes, and nobody in the community was needing clothes. And the news was reporting for the entire country to donate some clothes and donating water. And we didn't have any more place to stock water or clothes. This is one example. So our proposal is to gather everyone before the disaster. We can form a network, a unit to work together. We have a methodology and process in place. But the most important things, those processes need to be flexible enough So we can use them in different situations, different regions, and different type of disasters, because Brazil is a really big country. We have really different regions here. So you need to be flexible enough, but everyone needs to know what they have to do and when they have to do it. This is the most important thing. And the online platform would be our official channel to communicate for the rest of the country what we are doing, what we need at the exact time we need it, because we know in a disaster, the needs change like hour by hour. Like one day we need something, the next day you don't need that. And this is the time of to answer how can we reduce time and how we can just waste the resources. And the second question is how this connect with the sense of belonging. Is that it?
Yes, to strengthen that connection. I can
okay.
imagine it, but I want to hear it.
Okay, so our proposal is actually a long-term proposal. So we are talking about like the first phase is a short-term phase that we are doing like emergency actions. And then we are gathering, after we pass this short-term phase, the emergency things, we invite the community and we invite the leaders to start doing some volunteer works for themselves. So one thing we are good here in Atados is to assess the situation and transform the situation into volunteer jobs. We know how to do it, and we know how to communicate this to them. And then when we invite the community to work with us in these actions, they start to have a sense of ownership, can I say that? And so they know they are doing something for their own community, they know they're doing something for themselves, and they start to gather more and to have the sense of belonging, the sense of integration. And actually, if you are talking about displaced community, I think we are talking about some community that need to go someplace else, like a different city, a different region. And when we put this community in the new place, we actually are going to invite the previous community, the one who already lived there, to support the new ones. So the volunteer jobs that in vacancies we're going to post on the online platform, it's for everyone, not just the people who were displaced and the people who were affected. We actually want the local community, not the one that was affected, to take part in this action. Was that clear?
Very clear. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Can I go?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks, Ms. here. I'm a big believer actually in leveraging networks as a strategy, and in network externalities that provide you that kind of scale and that impact. But very often, networks are heavily reliant on the depth of the relationship you have, right? Whether it's with a volunteer or the various stakeholders that you employ. What are your sort of plans for engaging and retaining these networks? And also, what do you do with them in sort of non-disaster peacetime?
Okay, so when we are talking about the stakeholders network, thinking about here in Brazil, we already connected with a few organizations and NGOs that work with disaster relief that we encounter in some disaster situations. And talking with them, we know that this is a desire they already have. Because when a disaster strikes, everyone's kind of desperate to do things. So we want to organize them beforehand and get the best of them and have like something in place so we can be fast. So they are interested in this because they also will prevent waste of time and waste of their own resources. So if you think about it, there's an NGO here in Brazil that takes care of the hunger and the food during disaster relief. And when they move to a different city, they have to hire a big kitchen so they can cook. They have to hire people to do that. If you're talking about a network, we already have these connections. So they just need to activate them and say, hey, we need this, this, and this. Are you ready to go? And they will say, yes, we're ready to go. So this is the first one. If you're talking about the volunteer, to engage the volunteers, there's two types of volunteers that we consider. The first one, and I think when a disaster strikes, the entire community is mobilized. So we have those volunteers on site. And those volunteers are going to work when a disaster is happening. But if you're talking about a long-term volunteer and we want to, with the volunteer culture, develop this sense of community, this is something we have been working on for the past 12 years here in Atados. We gather volunteers and we do trainings and we do some sessions from periods of times every single month. So we can teach them new things. We develop a community with them. So they start bonding with each other. And then they start to see the value in working with this community. They start to see the value in this group. And they are actually, it's really rewarding for them to be a part of something bigger. And it's really rewarding for them to know they are giving back to their own community. So they stick around. They're always with us.
Thank you.
I just have two questions to you, Lucia. First of all, thank you very much for presentation. Congratulations, and thank you for mentioning the Red Cross. So that's good. Does the platform already exist, or are you looking to build it? Because that wasn't clear.
Okay, the platform already exists. So this is actually how Atados was born 12 years ago. We developed a platform to connect people who wanted to work as volunteers with NGO here in Brazil that needed volunteers. So this was a decade ago, a long time ago, was really simple. So the NGOs was just uploading their volunteer needs in the platforms and volunteers would check them out, register, and that was the thing. Now this platform is, I can send it to you after, is something bigger. And we have our own, which we have more than 4,000 NGOs registered. We have more than 200,000 volunteers registers, and we have NGOs from all over Brazil. And we also have some different parts work. We have a fundraising part. We have this technology already, so we can upload, we can do a session only for fundraising donatives, fundraising money. And we have a blog that we can upload the news. So we think about, we can replicate this platform for every single disaster that we're going to work with. This is something we already have. We already have an IT team that works with that, and they can do this.
Great, thank you. And then just one other question. You talked about training and training your network members in terms of disaster response. Who is going to be doing that, and how are you fitting that into your programming?
All right. So in the budget, we listed, let me see here. We listed a team. We need to hire a team of professionals, a coordinator and a project manager. So we are considering like a 1 year inside this budget. And we are going to, depending on the 8 areas of the key operational areas that we're going to work with, we're going to count on organizations that are specialists in those areas. So the project manager that we're going to hire are going to build with the organization a training, and then they're going to train the rest of the network.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
All right. Thank you so much, Atados. Now we will hear from Bumi. Please go ahead and share your screen. You've got 5 minutes.
Do you know what is the population of Qatar? Any guesses? I'll give it away. It's 2.69 million. Okay. This is approximately the number of people displaced in my country every single year. I come from India, which records the 4th largest disaster displacement every year as per the Global Report on Internal Displacement 2023. Hi, I'm Ram from Bhumi. In 2015, my city saw the largest flood India has witnessed in the last 100 years. 100 years. Just when we were recovering and then we were building on from there, we had another flood in 2019 and then another in 2023, 50 days ago, which was the largest in the last 75 years. This is scary for me. Want to know more what is scary? In Maslow's hierarchy, a disaster collapses and brings them down to level 0. Most disaster and displacement efforts in India stop at providing the basic amenities, what you see as physiological needs. Bhumi's solutions, as you can see, supports needs in safety, belonging, and integration as well. If we go a little deep into these problems, We understand that what started out as physiological needs, problems turned into psychological problems. What started out as life or death issue has turned into a livelihood issue, a belonging issue, an identity issue. The magnitude of this problem is so huge and diverse that it makes it impossible for just Bhumi to do it alone. Allow me to introduce Bhumi here. Bhumi has been there in the social non-profit sector for the last 17 years. We are working with like completely volunteering based system. Like we do clock like close to 1 million volunteering hours every year. That's where we come from, right? From that lens, if you see, we really do not want to approach this problem as just alone. That's where the role Bhumi will play here is a platform to bring together all the key stakeholders, including the local governments, partner NGOs, volunteering communities, etc. Our solution is not a program, but rather, if you see, it's a holistic support that will ensure that sustained safety, culture of belonging, and integration. I'll spend a little in this particular slide alone, right? For example, if you see in on the lack of safety, if you see a child who has seen their entire world crumble, will get counseling support, and then will slowly move on to get socio-emotional learning to heal the trauma. On the other side, let's say a woman, while getting awareness about hygienic practices for her family at home, will also be able to access health camps and later hospitals, etc. Let's say somebody who has lost their all their documents, etc., would be like starting out like a documentation camp, will slowly move on to like employment opportunities, skill building, etc. So all these journey takes a long time, right? Similarly, for every problem, we have integrated solutions for every member in the community through 17 sustainable interventions. We don't intend to do this alone. While few of these solutions will be implemented by Bhumi directly, we'll maximize the support and impact by involving our network of 800 plus NGO partners in India. Now, all of this is great, right? Now, who will implement this? That's a big question. As you can see in phase 1 and phase 2, we recruit and train volunteers from the neighboring and displaced communities to completely implement our interventions. We'll be there, our volunteer managers will be there. We recruit and train these people. Parallelly, we see that we empower the community volunteers to lead the interventions to ensure that self-sustenance is there for the longer term. One of the USP of this entire model is volunteer leader. We are not just doing programs. We are like building the volunteer leadership in the community itself, so that through the disaster they are the leaders, and even when the disaster is not, they are becoming the community heroes. They carry on with the community development. That's what our USP is. Now, for the second most important USP of this entire model, it's AI enabled. It's first of its kind communication analysis system, which will be able to analyze a community's needs. It analyzes data from pre-existing communication channels like WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever we do it on daily basis. There is no separate data collection. With this technology, what generally takes months can be accomplished in just few minutes. We definitely want this build to be an open source architecture so that anyone and everyone can use it, maximizing the impact. All these sounds exciting. The question is, do we have a plan for it? Yes, we do have a plan for it. We have a detailed, robust weekly breakdown of implementation plan covering all these aspects. For every intervention, we also have a strong set of KPIs with specific data collection, both quantitative as well as qualitative. The majority of this investment is in the volunteer managers who will manage and groom the future volunteer leaders. They will then lead the programs in the community as a long-term program, which I already explained. The second component goes into building a scalable tech stack. With a global prediction being that all our cities, at least in India, right, will sink 3 feet by 2070, disasters are here to stay. We cannot stop them, right? We are going to, in Maslow's principle, they are going to come down from level 3 to level 0. What can be done is to start with bare minimum necessities. We have to provide a holistic and humane solution that empowers the displaced and neighboring communities to own and lead in their own recovery. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much for a fascinating pitch. We'll see if the judges have got any questions for you. Judges?
Yeah, maybe I can start. So thank you, Bhumi, for that. Really, and congratulations also coming here. I just had a question on, you were talking about the platform, right? And sort of Bhumi being at the centerpiece of that. Again, is this something that is already existing, or are you building this up as you go along? And where are you in this phase of that?
Sure. Thanks as well for the question. So to an extent, we are building that platform, and our intent is to build the platform. Like for example, as I said, that we already have 800 plus NGOs in our network where we do our capacity building at time to time basis and connect with them for smaller intervention or longer intervention. So platform is just is on paper. I would not say just on paper, but also there. But it's just that we have to interlink certain platforms in terms of volunteer management and enabling NGOs to access those volunteers. So it's like we need to create that particular bridge which will help these volunteers and these NGOs and other stakeholders come together at one single tech solution. Yeah.
Thank you.
Amjad, if I can add on, I
Please.
differentiate the answer, right? Platform as a tech needs to be built, whereas platform as like a community, it's already there.
Great. Thanks.
Have we got any more questions? Oh, Jim, please go ahead.
Yes, thanks very much, Ram. I saw in the budget that you hope to use this grant actually to build the CASS. Can you talk a little bit to the how it's you're using AI and that a lot of it will be it'll be a learning tool? And the other question I had was, what differentiates you from other sort of volunteer management networks?
Yeah, I'll call my tech expert Tushar over here. He'll answer the first part. Yeah.
Hi everyone. So first of all, in terms of volunteering management, we have already built a volunteering management system, which is currently managing lakhs of volunteers a day. It is called BVMS, Bhumi's own volunteering management system. Secondly, for the tech stack CAS, we were looking into how basically we can get the data from all the communication channels and basically cluster that data into all the sectors that we want to look at, which we have mapped as an index also, that these sectors has these important indexes or basically some parameters. Whatever needs are found on those messages, we take those values in, cluster them, and found out, okay, what are some of the needs that that community requires. Then next step is basically our platform takes all the things as volunteers drive those needs basically to solve those problems. So it is more like a need assessment system where we are assessing all the needs without actually just not only taking surveys, but also getting the actual people's voices without interfering them.
Community is telling you what their needs are.
Exactly. And they don't need to just say that, okay, hi, I need this. They can just say normal conversation in the group that they have the local groups in it. And we just translate that information into the messages that either there is some need required. So that is just one part of it. One more thing is that there is mapping the displacement communities also comes into one part. But I think for the scope of this presentation, I think CAS is only.
Then for the second part you asked, right? Bhumi is like India's largest volunteering organization. We mobilize close to 2 lakh plus volunteers every year. And when we say we are collaborating, right? We use technology effectively to work at scale. That is like always there for every program implementation that we use. Technology is always there for volunteer management, volunteer data management, everything. And we have consistently responded to disasters. The four examples that I gave, I am a Bhumi volunteer first in being part of all these disasters, and Bhumi has been part of those. And also in the cities where our work is less, right? Or like, let's say we are still building on, collaboration is playing like a huge key. So where even in the cities where Bhumi does not play like major part, we have a phase NGO, they partner organizations there. So collaboration is the key for us to work throughout the country. For example, in COVID, if I have to pick, we supported more than 30,000 beneficiaries.
Thank you.
Yes, Jacqueline.
I was actually, you walked right into my question, so I'll just ask you to just continue just a little bit further. When you position yourself as the organization and this approach as serving in a backbone capacity in disasters, I found myself asking or wondering, what stage of coalition building are you in, right? Because I'm assuming that to be successful with this approach, you would need a strong coalition of partners, and I would like to understand how much additional coalition building, partnership building do you think you would need to do in order for this truly to be a successful approach? Or do you feel that as an established organization that's been working in this way for a long time, that you already have what's needed? So I'm just trying to understand how much growth you would need in that area to be successful.
Actually, do you want to build on partnership? I'll take a program. Fine. Jacqueline, I can take, can you mute? I can take on the programmatic perspective, right? So all the 17 programs that we have said, for this particular pitch, we have like brought in together, right? But then each of these program has been already implemented at different place. For example, the socio-emotional learning, it is happening at the schools, it is happening at the underprivileged communities. The volunteer leadership that I said, it is happening as like a 12-week fellowship model. We have been doing in all the communities. So these programmatic lens are happening at different places. I mean, we were actually privileged to get this as an opportunity to bring everything together as like a model itself, right? So program wise, we are pretty sorted. We have either us or our partner organizations has been doing it. For example, the listening or the learning circle that I quoted, one of our partner organizations, Sunona, they have been holding those circles, etc. And like if I have to get you data, 2022-23 alone, we have collaborated with 715 NGOs. Like these collaborations happen throughout. And we do learning sessions for NGOs. We Akshay here hosts that session also. We have a session called Wisdom Wednesday. Every Wednesday, we have like a learning session for all the partner organizations. And it's mutual. It's not one direction, it's mutual, right? And we do training on fundraising for other NGOs. We provide pro bono volunteers to specifically support other NGOs. We recently successfully completed our volunteering conference. It's called VolCon. It's like India's largest conference on volunteering. Pretty much we are there as like an ecosystem connector at all these places. But if you ask for this program, this will be like an implementation of like connection of all these pieces. I would say all the pieces are there. We just need to put those pieces together.
Thank you. I don't know if you had someone you were talking to who was going to add more to that answer, but that gives me a much better sense of where you are in the evolution.
I kind of added it with the Akshay. You want to add?
No, Ram has covered most of the things. Thanks, Ram.
Sorry, Akshay.
Have we got any more questions from our judges? No? All right. If not, then a very big thank you to all of our teams for presenting. We will please stay with us and we'll see you in 15 minutes.
So apologies on behalf of Yvette. I think she's facing technical issues. Again, thank you to all the teams for presenting. We will now proceed to take a 15-minute break and we will be back on time at 5:15 p.m. UAE time. Thank you, everyone.
All right, everyone, I think we're back. And yes, let me see. Yes. So welcome back, everyone. We will continue with the pitch rounds with the remaining teams. So Paddy Rescue Incorporated team, please go ahead and share your slides. You've got 5 minutes.
Massive flooding, devastating typhoons, unexpected earthquakes, terrifying volcanic eruptions, heartbreaking armed conflicts, scorching community fires. These are just few of the man-made and natural hazards that we encounter regularly here in the Philippines. It's actually normal for all of us to hit by at least 20 typhoons per year, which have caused displacement of 5.4 million Filipinos in just 22 alone due to natural disasters. Last 2010, we were hit by Super Typhoon Cosme. For a month, we didn't have electricity, no vehicles available. And you know what? The only thing you can rely on is a bicycle. And for me, bicycle is a life changer. During the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, Filipinos shifted to bicycling as a mode of mobility. No, why? Because of its health benefits and accessibility. Go Bike Project aims to capacitate the youth to become community volunteer responders known as Go Bikers in times of emergencies and even before, during, and after a disasters. This project will holistically address the Ideathon challenge. How can volunteers create cultures of belonging and integration for those displaced by disasters? The concept is very simple. We train and equip the youth with necessary knowledge and skills in life-saving and capacitate them with knowledge and skills able to provide psychological first aid and psychosocial support, in which during disaster recovery period, the community suffers massive mental health problems. We also want to provide them with bicycles equipped with first aid kits, medicines, and IEC materials for mental health known as Go Bikes. There are regular activities that is set to be conducted by these Go Bikers. Number one, a monthly roving activity where they can provide basic healthcare services to the people. Number two, conducts quarterly earthquake and disaster rescue drills. And number three, a quarterly mental health awareness building activity for the communities. Go Bikers, who will actively volunteer and accomplish all these activities, will be given recognition, certificates, and even rewards by our team and by our partners to ensure their continued engagement and commitment to our cause. Let's take a look at how Go Bike units evolved and adopted from 2019 to 2022. The youth are very powerful. They constitute 25% of the world's total population. They have enough energy. We have enough energy. The passion and willingness to make this world a better place to live in. Distinguished judges, we need to produce more Go Bikes and train more Go Bikers in order to multiply our impact and ripples and create ripples of change here in our country. Through Go Bike Project, we will have committed and skilled youth volunteers who can foster the culture of belongingness in our community and engage them to have a strong and mutual cooperation, especially during the darkest times of disasters. Through the $25,000 grant, we will be able to train and equip more than 300 Go Bikers and produce 24 Go Bikes for the 24 communities here in the municipality of Bugalion in the Philippines. We will not do this alone. We will be in partner with government agencies such as the Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office, Bureau of Fire Protection, Department of Health, Philippine Mental Health Association, Philippine Red Cross, and of course, our Sangguniang Kabataan or Youth Council, who is government-mandated youth organization here in the country to support Go Bike Project initiatives and efforts, ensuring its sustainability in the community. In the first few months of implementation alone, we will be able to train 300 new Go Bikers. And by the end of the year, we are projected to directly impact 5,000 people and over 6,000 lives people reach. To ensure effective monitoring and evaluation of the Go Bike Project's impact, we will conduct key activities such as monthly gathering of incident reports and monitoring of patient data sheets. These activities will serve as a baseline and criteria for selecting our outstanding Go Bikers. We are Pudgy Rescue Incorporated. We aim to be the province's premier youth engagement for resilient and sustainable communities by mobilizing volunteers and bridging partners. My name is Edren Lanillo, and I have here with me Genesee Bautista and Christian Valdez. Thank you so much, and now we are open for questions.
Thank you so much, team. That was really inspiring. Judges, your turn to ask questions now. Yes, Jacqueline, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that pitch, and congratulations on making it to this stage of the process. I really appreciate the adaptation around utilizing bikes, and of course, the reason, not just because of your organization's origin, but because of, as you said, the opportunity, the supply, the energy, the opportunity with youth. But I wanted to learn a little bit more about the risk mitigation around that approach. What do I mean? Could you speak a little bit more about how those youth will be adequately equipped in order to go out in communities and do this work? And in answering that question, could you close by also addressing how safeguarding will be strengthened and their mental health well-being be cared for as well on the back end? So sort of that full cycle, the adequately equipped, the safeguarding for both the youth volunteers and those in the community, and then their own mental health well-being, having been out in the communities doing this critical work. If you could just speak a little bit more to that, that would be helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Enable for a young one to become a go biker, he or she needs to be trained, needs to undergo training with our government agencies partners, such as the Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office and with the Philippine Red Cross. These government and NGO agencies standardize our trainings and help ready our youth volunteers to have enough capacity, knowledge, and skills in able to become an effective go biker and a responder in their respective communities. Also, with regards to their mental health, we value the duty of care. When these go bikers, of course, they are exposed to facing communities' mental health problems. Therefore, they might be affected by it. Thus, we will conduct debriefing sessions on a regular basis, and we will give them enough partners, such as the Department of Health, for a very immediate referral system. And of course, these go bikers will be insured because we will provide them with accidental insurance courtesy to the Philippine Red Cross. Thus, we do not only ensure the effective emergency response of these youth go bikers to communities, but at the same time, we care for them and we protect them because these young people are investments, and we need to protect them and able to save more lives here in our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that answer.
If I can go next. Thanks, Adrian, for the energy that came across in your presentation. Appreciate that. You mentioned the work that you do in the municipality. Are there plans to expand beyond Bukalayan? And actually, what has been sort of the biggest challenge to your organization in sort of building this movement? And to which the funding from, AMRITS would be helpful.
Actually, this revolution has already been, this revolution is actually been doing in other municipalities as well. Go Bike project does not only focus in Bugalyon alone. We have already expanded to the next municipality, which is the municipality of Mangatarem. There we have 7 communities who actually adopted the Go Bike project. And the major challenge that we are facing there is our lack of resources, because we are young people. We do not have enough money to support our training expenses. We do not have enough resources to also support and procure medical equipments. Thus, if we will be given a chance to have this grant, we will use it to fund our training expenses, and at the same time providing our volunteers with bicycles and with these medical equipments to be used in the respective communities. Thank you.
Thanks.
I just have a couple of questions. So thank you very, very much. You thoroughly scared me in the initial thing of the doom and gloom of the world coming in, but thank you for that. I just have a couple of questions on the bikes itself, right? So you showed the evolution of the bikes and the different types. I'm curious, are these bikes, so the first question is, are these bikes designed by the young people themselves? Is it designed by the communities? How is that done? So I'm thinking more of the local aspect of this. And then when you talk about young people being part of this, what is the age range of your volunteers in that sense? And so then the question comes, you know, what is a typical Go Biker's sort of routine? Does he or she do a couple of hours every week, every day? What does that look like, right, in terms of a volunteer Go Biker?
All right. Our Go Bike units is very special because this is community made. And these Go Bikes are actually constructed by us. We young people. We do welding, we do the constructing, the basic construction of bicycle. We do it. And as you can see, in 2019, our bike unit is a mountain bike, in which during implementation, we found out that mountain bikes are very expensive to maintain. And it's not what the community needs. So in order for us to carry more equipments, to carry a fellow Go Biker who will join us in building resilient communities, the community and the Go Bikers decided to adopt and reconstruct a cargo bike unit. And now we have three tri-bike units. Now, with regards to their ages, these Go Bikers are actually aged 15 to 30 years old. So some of them are minors, some of them are young adults. But to minors, we provide the waiver, and we ensure the protection of these young kids in doing Go Bike project. Basically for not legal age, we just let them access the training, and then if they are required or if they are needed to respond to emergencies, we ensure that they are accompanied by their adult fellow Go Biker. And finally, with regards to their routine, this is very, very exciting because these Go Bikers are very proactive. What they're doing is that on a monthly basis, they use the bikes to rove around communities to champion disaster resilience. Let's get prepared. Let's do drills. These are the information that you needed to know. And with that, we are little by little championing disaster resilience in the communities. They also conduct their quarterly earthquake drills and disaster rescue drills. So with this, this will be in partner with the local government unit, and the Go Bikers themselves can organize small disaster rescue drills. So with that, people get more aware, get more engaged in building a holistic, resilient community here in our town. And most of all, in order to address future problems such as this displacement to people when disaster strikes here in our country, we proactively advocate for mental health awareness program in order to not only build the resilience of the community, but at the same time prepare our Go Bikers and the community for devastation that might happen here in our country. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have another question, if there's time, Yvette.
We've got a few seconds, so probably you could ask.
Okay, just wanted to know how you're currently funded, and actually whether you do look at monetizing some of your initiatives or activities to sort of bring in bring in revenue other than just relying on grants and donations?
Yeah, actually, the Go Bike unit itself is turning into a social enterprise today because we are open to selling it to other youth organizations. A lot of youth organizations are actually attracted to our initiative and would like to adopt it because they find the relevance of the Go Bike in the need of their community. Therefore, we produce bikes here, here in our house, and we sell it to them. So, the youth organizations themselves are our main clients as well. And of course, if there's a sales, there's a profit, and we ensure that the certain percentage of the profit will go to the good cause of what we're doing here at the Go Bike project.
Thank you so much, team. That was really incredible. And now we have volunteer involving organization network team. You can share your slides, and you've got 5 minutes as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Agatamusa from Sierra Leone, and I'm presenting on behalf of Volunteers Involved in Organizations Network Sierra Leone. It's a network responsible for coordinating, networking, volunteer institutions, as well as their interventions in order to drive humanity and impact in the various communities that we work. So we have 150 volunteers that are registered under our network, and we are regulating at national level. So I'm here today with my team. I have Sarah Kadi Ahmed and also Ibrahim So Kamara. Sierra Leone is a high disaster-prone country, and for every year we experience different forms of disaster that actually occur, and this disaster left thousands of people displaced, and those people in the communities that will be displaced, majority of them would be, or the most vulnerable category of those people will be women, girls, and persons with disability. And as a result, we are going to take action in order to address this problem, how volunteers can collectively come together in order to build a culture of belonging to address disaster problem. So there is an adage in our African society where they say, he who feels it knows it. So we believe if we establish an eco-friendly cafe, is to bring everybody together. So what the problem we are trying to address is to establish an eco-friendly women-led community cafe. It's a women-led because when disasters occur, the women suffers the most, and also persons with disability. But the women we are using the women to champion this cafe. And in this cafe, you can see there is complete inclusivity, where everybody feels relevant, everybody feels belong, and everybody feels important. As a result, it doesn't discriminate, it doesn't judge anybody, and it doesn't stigmatize anybody that comes into the cafe. So what the project is trying to address, the project will mobilize 250 volunteers from across the Western region to directly reach and coordinate 500 female displaced women. So these women that have been displaced either as a result of flooding, as a result of fire, as a result of mudslide or windstorm that normally occur every year in Sierra Leone, we work with those women to ensure that we build a social and intercultural awareness and increase social norms change, build cohesion, integration, and economically empowered community, thus enhancing collaboration, partnership with like-minded institutions to achieve local ownership and sustainability of communities affected by disaster and also emergencies in Sierra Leone. So you can see here in our approach, you see the community at the center. So we want to see in the community where women come together and form a circle of form a cafe that will address various activities highlighted here. So in this cafe, we'll talk about advocacy that will lead to social norm change, that will actually be able to take away the mentality that we've used to get in terms of how people perceived about people who suffer from different forms of disasters and are being displaced. So we also work with community in this cafe also. We'll do storytelling where we all come together irrespective of our situation to share story, to dialogue, and also to identify issues and recommendations as to how to address our problem. In this community, we'll also address psychosocial and safeguarding issues and provide support. This will be led by our volunteers who regularly coordinate these women that will be championing this cafe. We'll build the skills and capacity. We'll build skills and capacity of the 500 women, displaced women that we'll be working with in this cafe, because we believed when they have skills and they are being empowered, it will lead to a livelihood sustainability, and also they'll become economically viable to take interventions to address disaster issues. In doing all of this, we will network with different kinds of institutions as well as the communities themselves to build a sustainable and ownership intervention. So in this cafe, every member matters to one another and also in the group. So this project will be implemented for 1 year and it will be done in phases. So we are looking at 3 phases in the implementation. We have the inception phases, where we look at basically awareness raising to bring all of us together to share ideas and also in order to influence social and behavioral change. So we'll develop infographics that actually communicate to the communities in the simplest form, that they will understand how building cohesion, how coming together, how creating value for each other can relevant and also drive transformation in their communities. We'll do advocacy, dialogue, community outreach. And this, for advocacy, it has to be a year-round project, because we believe this project will last for 1 year. And if we got this this opportunity, we'll start in March and we'll end in next year, 2025, February.
Thank
we'll
you,
also be
Elizabeth. Time is up now. Thank you so much for that. And now we'll send it over to the judges for questions. Do our judges have any questions for Volunteer Involved Organization Network?
Maybe I can
Yes,
just ask
Dr.
a question, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for the presentation. When you talk about an eco-friendly cafe, can you just unpack what you mean by the eco-friendly? What is coming out of that? Because obviously you've talked a lot about the outreach work and foundation, but how is the cafe itself going to be working and
the eco-friendly we are building, and because what happened in our regular lives, most of these disasters are human-made driven. And so when you say in an eco-friendly community, it's a community where we all come together and under a tree. As you can see from our presentation, there are trees in this community. So we try to maintain those trees and also encourage those women to plant trees around to ensure that these trees are being maintained and also our environmental preparedness is being enhanced. So I'll also encourage my team to make it. You want to go?
Just to add to what Elizabeth is saying, there are lots of our target communities are being filled with lots of plastics and lots of waste. So when we say eco-friendly women-led community, we are saying all of these things and activities will be eco-friendly. Then they'll be recycling this waste. They'll be using this waste to be able to build in economic empowerment. Yeah.
Jane,
Thanks, Elizabeth. My question was whether you'd done this before. Is this a pilot, or there's been, a proven model or success model that you're emulating? Could you share a little bit more about the thinking behind that?
So our intervention has been disaster preparedness and also recovery. And a lot of these disasters that have happened, we've worked with the National Disaster Management Team in order to address this disaster. So we already have the issues in the communities. This is going to be a pilot, and we believed, going through based on our experience, our studies that we've done, and also our experience working with the communities from those diverse affected communities. This will help them a lot, because it has to be about building their resilience. It has to be about bringing everyone together, the belongingness, the sense of belongingness and being valued and being important. So we think this pilot can lead to a sustainable change, because if they feel belong and because they said, if they actually feel the pain and we give them ownership by allowing them to regulate the cafe, they can have, and we can enhance sustainability, especially working with the existing structures and the partners that we work with in the communities. To ensure even when the project is gone, they might be there, because we have to establish structures like the female mothers clubs in these communities, so that when we are gone, they'll continue with the advocacy, they'll continue with the psychosocial counseling, they'll continue with SGBV counseling and every other thing.
So everything centers around the cafe, is that right?
Yes, because we believe in the cafe, there is no
Who will
judgmental.
sustain the activities of the cafe?
Sorry, come again.
Who will sustain the activities? I mean, is that via nets, sort of?
As part of our sustainability plan, unfortunately, we didn't get there. But Vionet, we continue to provide coordination. But if cafe itself will be run by the 500 women that have been displaced. So these are from 5 different communities that we work with in the Western area. These are disaster-prone communities. So even when we are not there, we'll continue. When the project is ended, we'll continue our coordination and also our monitoring as part of our sustainability engagement.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your emphasis on inclusivity and belonging. And I heard in your last answer, you emphasized the way that empowering the women to actually operate the cafe on their own will help drive towards those goals. But I would also like to understand, given that emphasis in inclusivity and belonging, what are 1 or 2 other intentional strategies you employ to help create that inclusivity, feeling included, belonging, and bringing these diverse set of women together so that it works? What are 1 or 2 specific things you do to make that come to fruition?
I may want to answer this. So one of our intention, and it's in our implementation plan, is for us to engage these women and build their economic power. So we have a local approach wherein we call it Village Savings and Loan Scheme, wherein women get to come together, mobilize themselves, and save and give loans in these groups. So that's like one of the key main activity that these women will be doing, just so they can be able to build on their economic power. And one way that we intend to facilitate this and make it very sustainable is first give them the training, but also it's their money. We're not going to give them any grants towards it. They're going to save their own money and see how best they can be able to utilize. We have a lot of mobile apps that get to, we have a minor cash box now. We have mobile companies that are providing these mobile banking applications so they can be able to save their money. So it reduces the risk of them keeping this money in their homes.
Thank you.
So additionally, a lot of these women, they are single mothers, and also they own their own small businesses. So we believe and they most times find it difficult to secure loans with these financial institutions. So, but we believe them saving their own resources and managing it with because we intend to provide them entrepreneurial skills training, because a lot of them are not able to manage their resources. But with that training, they can be able to enhance the economic impact that we are looking for, and it could be sustainable not only to them, but the communities and to the extension of the family that they are coming from.
Thank you.
Awesome. You got any more questions from our judges? No.
Yvette, can we just ask a general question to everyone, right? Because I think this is for everyone here, and I'd like to just get an answer. Is, one of the things that you're coming in here is sort of looking at your relationships with different stakeholders. I'd be really interested to kind of figure out where do you see yourself sitting if it's a new project or if it's where does this fit in with what the government or your local government is doing, right? Because it's not very clear in terms of where you're sitting in and that how are they viewing you in this perspective, and so I'd just love to kind of unpack that, and if possible to get some answers from some of the groups across the board.
Okay, just to respond, a quick response to that. So in the Western region that we plan on implementing this project, we have a Freetown City Council that is main program is around climate change and sustainability, and most of its targeted areas are these slums areas that are like disaster impacted communities. So we plan on working with a lot around Freetown City Councils, just so they can be able to, just see how best these women are owning their communities. So there's a lot of psychosocial impact when it comes to people being displaced. And these people, when we go to this field, they tell us that we don't want to lose our homes. So it would be very good for us to work with these partners and see how best they can be able to, just like make their own home, make it eco-friendly, wherein it will be sustainable for them, reduce this disaster issues around their communities.
Yes, so this is a localization approach.
Elizabeth,
yes,
sorry
I just want
to cut you, but because we've got to go into voting, so we'll probably have to wrap up this session. But thank you, Sarah, for answering that question, and I hope that sort of answers your question, Dr. Amjad. We'll probably have to take this offline. But this concludes the pitching session, and I would like to thank all the participants for sharing their inspiring and amazing ideas. But before we close this session, I'd like to ask everyone to now turn on your cameras for a group photo, if you're able to, because we would like to capture this beautiful memory of having everybody, pitch and share. All right. So are we ready, Sally? Is everybody? Oh, I think we're missing a few people. So Christian,
Let's just
Tushar.
give it a minute until everyone's cameras are on, and we will take the photo. If you can just count down from 3, Yvette.
I think we're missing a few more people. Christian, Ibrahim, and yes. Okay. So we will count down in 3, 2, 1. Smile. Do we have it, Sally? Oh, another one. It's always a bit awkward, isn't it, when you have to smile for an online camera? Are we good, Sally?
We are good to go.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So the live streaming will now come to an end while the judges enter a private session to determine the winner of this theme. So please join us at 6:15 UAE time, when we will reveal the results of the competition. But again, you can visit the Emirates Foundation's YouTube channel on the screen, and also the Ideathon website as shown on the screen. So thank you so much, everybody. It was such a pleasure listening to everybody's speeches and also to our judges. And we will see you at 6:15 UAE time. So thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are.
Thank you, Yvette. Thank you, judges.
Thank you, judges, and also the mentor. So can we leave now?
Yes, you can.
Can I? Thank you.
Could you mention the time once again? The time you mentioned?
6:15. So 6:15 UAE time. 6:15 UAE.
15.
So that's in
approximately. You mean 15?
Yeah, 6:15. So that's
15.
in approximately 25 minutes, I think. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.